be really handy for a couple of our postures. Use your judgment whether you want to have a chair nearby. It's just to help modify or make more available some of the balance posture that we will do, and also a modified downward dog, just to keep the wrists happy. So we're going to start with our blanket. If you're seated on the floor, you can fold your blanket in half, and then maybe in thirds, or just roll it. Rolling it is nice. And then you can lift your knees and just wedge it around your knees. You can also sit on a block. So then you've got support under your shins and under your lower back. If you're on a chair, then I would recommend using that blanket across your lap. It's just a nice grounding sensation, in my opinion. You can see if that's true for you. We'll start with our seated breathing. So get as comfortable as you can in the space that you're in. And whatever you're sitting on, start to really connect to the lower body. So you might rock from side to side, just connecting to the bones, the sits bones, the thighs. Maybe if you're on the floor, feeling the parts of your legs that are making contact with something beneath you. And let your shoulders soften and slide down your back. So as you exhale, imagine that you are rooting down, creating roots from the lower body, rooting down into the earth, into this foundation beneath you. And as you inhale, let your breath help to elevate your spine, to build your spine up. Exhaling, rooting down. Inhaling, spine builds upward, lengthening, feeling the crown of your head reaching for the heavens. I invite you to bring a hand to your heart and a hand to your belly, and continue connecting into yourself as I read this poem in honor of Sukkot. And from This Grateful Heart, Psalms and Prayers for a New Day by Alden Solovey. Beauty dances. Beauty dances with us whenever we build a tabernacle to God's holy name. Love sings with us whenever we rejoice in gladness on God's festive days. Peace cries with us whenever we yearn in prayer for God's holy shelter. Come, let us build this place, this tabernacle where we praise with all of our hearts God's pardon and promise. Let us build this place where we delight with thanksgiving and wonder in God's bounty and gifts. Come, let us build this place, this Sukkot Shalom, this shelter of peace, where beauty dances and love sings, where peace cries out, build, build, you children of Israel, a tent of holiness, strong and true. Build it in your heart, in your home, in your life, in God's world. So today we will work on building within our bodies, within these temples of holiness that are our bodies, building a sense of peace and groundedness. And as we create within, we are able to provide on the outside for others in our environment. We do the work inside to make a change in the world. From your seated position, let's go into some forward folds. So you can keep the block under you if you have it, or remove it. You just want to feel that connection to whatever's beneath you. And then notice which leg is in front if you're seated on the floor, and just start to walk your hands out. Now, when you do that, just slow down for 1 second. I want you to pull your belly in and get in touch with your hip crease. So even just put your fingers there at the crease of your hips. This is where we want to create a flexion. We want to create flexion from there rather than rounding in our back and moving forward. So try to hinge at the hips, and you may not come down as low, and that's okay. We're just looking for a little contact with the hip muscles. You might feel a little bit in your lower back. The neck can be long. And then walk your hands over to the left, just to where you feel a stretch, and you may notice the stretch now in the lower back area and the muscles above the hip bone. Nice and gentle, so just let these movements be as small as you want them to be in these beginning movements. And keeping the belly engaged, we'll walk our hands over to the other side, noticing where we feel the stretch now. And then back to center. If you are seated as I am, you can switch your legs. And you can keep that blanket there if that feels nice for you, or you can remove it at any time. We'll go ahead and just rock from side to side and reconnect to your sits bones, reconnect to your hip flexors, and then hinge at the hips. Good. Until you feel a stretch. So just really, before you build, you want to level the land and make sure that the foundation is ready to build on, right? So we're just building a foundation by warming up the lower body. Walk your hands to the right. Soften your jaw. Keep the belly pulled in. Walk your hands over to the left. And then walk back to center, and then use your hands to help press you back up. It's always a kind thing to do rather than just flying back up using the lower back muscles. So from here, you can take your blanket and use it to sit on. So I'm going to just place it under the very tips of my sits bones so that my hips are raised just a little bit. And that's going to help my pelvis from rounding underneath me and creating tension in the lower back. So we want to be nice and upright. And we're going to do a couple of twists. So we'll extend the right leg out and then just tuck your left leg close. This is an activation of the core. So I want you to prop yourself up on your right fingertips and bring your left elbow inside of that left knee. And then pulling the belly in and rising up in the spine, you're going to press your knee into your elbow, elbow into knee, and feel your core turning on. While you're doing that, you can start to twist, take an open twist to your right, making sure that the right shoulder is just down away from your ear, so not having any tension there in the shoulder and neck. Open twist. Good. And then we'll let this knee just open up so it looks like we have like a lower body tree pose happening. If you need a block under your knee for a little extra support. That might feel nice. And now we'll take a twist to the left. So the right hand will come onto the thigh or the knee, and then just rotate gently, looking over the left shoulder. As you exhale, you ground down, root down. And as you inhale, you build the spine, you build upward. Good, come back to center, and we'll take the same sequence on the other side. So if you used a block, you can move that over. Let's tuck the right foot in close to the body. Right elbow comes inside, and then that left hand can prop you up from behind and fully pull in that belly and activate both the leg and the arm, pressing into each other. You might notice that my long leg has an active foot, so keep that foot active. Open twist, so opening up to the left side. And then slowly come back to center. Let your right knee open, so the sole of the foot might be inside the left leg. And then take your twist to the other side. Full deep breaths. Good, and back to center. You can keep your blanket nearby, but we're done with it for now. And we'll come onto our backs with our straps. So let's bring the strap around the right foot, and then with your left leg, do what feels right for you. Some of you might want to keep your knee bent, and some of you may want to extend, or a little bit of both. And just walk your shoulders down away from your ears and flex the right foot. Press into your strap. Reach for the sky with your heel. And then start to bring your leg across your body. You might change hands and hold the straps with your left hand, or you might just bring the leg across a little bit and hold both straps with both hands. It's up to you. And just breathe into that, the side of the leg and the hip. And then start to come back to center. And actually, let's take both straps in the right hand and engage your core and start to open the leg out to the side until you feel a stretch, just until you feel a little stretch. And as soon as you do, I'd like you to exhale and bring the leg back up to center, and then cross your body just a little bit. Keep holding the strap in the right hand. Take a breath as you cross the body. On your exhale, which helps you engage your core, you're going to open the leg out to the side until you feel a stretch. On an inhale, bring the leg back up and cross the body. Let's do 2 more on our own, using the breath as our guide. And back to center. Go ahead and change legs now. I'm just starting with the hamstring stretch that may get into that calf as well. Reach your heel for the sky, point your toes toward your nose. And start to cross the body until you feel a stretch in the outer leg, or wherever you feel it today. Pause here for a couple of breaths. And then take the straps into your left hand, and with your belly pulled in, go ahead and open the leg out until you feel a stretch. As soon as you feel a stretch, activate that inner thigh, bring the leg back up, and come into crossing over the body just a bit. Breathing in and then exhaling, bringing the leg out and back up. And you'll do this 2 more times on your own. So we're keeping that core engaged because that's our foundation right now, right? And the leg is the building material. So we need to have that foundation nice and solid to build up from. Go ahead and release your strap and hug your knees into your chest. Take a little lower back stretch here. So we're going to do a warm up from this position. Go ahead and lift your legs and then open them into a V, as wide as you're comfortable doing. You can always use your hands to help you too, just as a little extra support. And then think of the legs as scissors. You're going to activate those inner thighs, bring the legs together, but this time I'd like you to cross your right knee over your left knee as best as you can, and then bend both knees. So it's like you're sitting in a chair from a different perspective, a different relationship to gravity. So you've got your thighs coming together. Squeeze those legs, and if you can, hold on to some part of your lower legs. I don't know if ankles are within reach, but just hold on to something here, and then bring the feet. Imagine the feet can move away from the body and squeeze those inner thighs. Squeeze, squeeze. Good. Now unwind that and come back into your V. And then as you exhale, bring the legs together again. This time cross the left knee over the right knee and tuck yourself in and squeeze the inner thighs, and think of pulling the lower legs away from each other. Squeeze, squeeze these inner thighs. Good. Open up. We'll do 1 more set on each side. Keep your breath flowing. This time right over left. Bend, squeeze. This gets into your outer hips as well. Last time. Squeeze, squeeze. Good. And then release the legs up toward the sky. Do some ankle rotations. Good. And then bring your feet to the floor. Knees are bent. I'm going to knock my knees in toward each other, so you can do whatever feels good for your lower back. If you lean your knees in toward each other, the feet will move to the outer edges of your mat. We're just going to take a simple shoulder stretch. So if your arms are in a T position, take the left arm and cross it over your body, over your chest area or the upper chest area, and then use your right hand to hold the arm and get a little shoulder stretch here. So pull the arm toward your body, drop your left shoulder away from your ear. Come back into T position with the arms, take a breath. On your exhale, stretch the other side. So cross the right arm over the body and hold on to that arm with your left hand. Good. And then stretch out into a T once again. Take a big breath. And then hug your knees into your chest again. And then we're going to come to our tummies. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We're going to come to our knees. And just work on warming up the spine in whatever way feels right for you today. So maybe that is cat-cow. Maybe it's side bending or tail wagging or even hip circles. Just take a free moment here to move any way that feels nourishing for you. Making sure to release that neck if you can. And then we're going to fire up our core with a plank on our knees. How fun does that sound? Does that sound so much fun? We're going to come onto our forearms. Okay, and pull your belly in and just start to walk your knees back. Walk your knees back and start to lower your hips. As you lower your hips, your shoulders should come to just about where your elbow crease is. And you can release your toes if you want, or keep them tucked. And so you want to feel like your shoulders and hips are about the same height. So my core is doing a ton of work right now. You don't want to sag your hips. You want to keep a little bit of levity there in the hips. And feel it in your shoulders. You're getting so strong right now. Building up that strength. And then you can start to very slowly, gently lower yourself down and release your feet, and we'll come into Sphinx Pose. So the shoulders are set up, the elbows are already set up for Sphinx. Tuck your tailbone underneath you, point your toes, press your palms into your mat, and imagine you could drag yourself forward, so pulling your heart between your shoulders and arms, and just gaze straight ahead. So just stretching out those abs that we just fired up. Good, and then start to lower yourself down. You can bring your chin or your forehead to your palms, and keeping a strong connection of your pelvis into the mat, just start to lift one leg and then lower that leg and lift the other leg, and just alternate lifting one leg and the other, and you feel the back of the legs getting a little warm. Now you can keep it like this, or you can work with both legs, swimming the legs as if you have flippers. So ideally you're trying to lift those knees off the floor and keep the legs straight. The abdomen is pulled in, that belly button is pulled upward. So you're fluttering, and then pause, keep the legs lifted, and then open the legs a bit to the outer edges of your mat, and then scissor them in toward each other. And open and scissor. You're probably like, what did I ever do to you? Why are we doing this? One more, and then lower down. Good. Bend your knees and just windshield wiper the legs. We're going to transition to child's pose. So do that mindfully. You might even come back to the forearms and lift your hips. Walk your knees forward. Take child's pose. If you need a blanket under your ankles to make that more accessible, go for it. And just stretch out the lower back, or do whatever feels like a nice low back stretch to release that exercise we just did. Just take a moment to think about what you're building in your life right now. Where in your life do you build shelters of peace? And we're going to rock up to all fours. Let's come to standing with the massage ball nearby. So just have it nearby along with your blocks. And your chair might be handy at this point too, for forward folds, but you just have that if you want it. Let's do some standing twists. Let those arms flop against your body. And then with those legs remaining wider than hip width apart, we'll do breath of joy. So we're going to inhale 3 times, so sniff the air 3 times. So you're full, and then we'll move the breath and the body together. So it's up, out, up, and down. Building up the joy in your body, in your mind. 2 more. Good. You can keep your feet right where they are. Knees are soft. And then just bringing in the 3 thumps, so tapping under the collarbones. And tapping the center of the chest and letting out a nice long ah sound. Ah, good. And then knock on the ribs. Tap and knock on the ribs, just waking up these meridian points to support the immune system. Shake it all out. Shake everything just a little bit. Good. And then we'll massage the feet. So with your ball, go ahead and bring it under your right foot. And just get into any spots that could be a little more movable or flexible. Maybe they're sore. And then change sides, get into that left foot. Where's your breath? We're going to move the ball off to the side or wherever off the mat. And then I'm going to turn sideways for our forward fold, just to show that what I really want for us to do is the same idea of bending at the hip crease and keeping the back flat. So this is called a swan dive. So we're going to swan dive to a place where either your hands are going to touch a block, your knees can bend if they need to, or if a seat of a chair feels better for you, you're going to come down to that point, and then if you want to, release your head and keep your knees bent. So that's our swan dive. So let's all start standing together in mountain pose. Inhale, reach those arms up, get lots of air, and then exhale, swan dive with a flat back, coming to whatever your choice is, releasing the head if you're able to. Take a minute here to just breathe into the whole back body. Now we're going to build ourselves up, but we want to really connect to the foundation before we do that. So feel both feet, and as you start to rise up in a reverse swan dive, really press into the ground, create a rebound effect as you lift up and out. And then once you're up at the top, bring your hands to your heart. Let's bring the legs together, and we'll take a side bend. Inhale, reach up, and clasp your hands and release your index fingers. Squeeze your lower body, make it nice and firm, and lean over to one side. Belly is pulled in. Press your hip out, and reach in the opposite direction, and then slowly float back up. Take a breath here. Exhale over to the other side. This is a lot of work. Press into your feet. Use that strength of the lower body to raise you back up. And then release your hands and swan dive down to the place that felt good for you last time. And release. Breathe. And then we'll start to come up with a flat back. Again, reaching out to the sides and up. And then clasp your hands again, but this time you can't see my hands, but we're gonna turn our hands inside out. So you're gonna keep the hands clasped and press the palms up. So you're stretching those fingers. Don't worry if you lose a couple of them, they'll lose contact. And then reach over again to one side. This time you can focus on the underarm and maybe the armpit area. Come back up with the breath over to the other side. Good. And come on up. And then release those palms and do really big circles on your way down. Good. Make some big shoulder circles. So we'll move into our first standing, more of a dynamic pose. So I'm not using the chair for this, but you're welcome to if you need it for anything at all. We'll start with our right foot as our lead foot. So coming into warrior one. So the right knee is bent, the back leg is straight and turned inward slightly. We're going to reach the arms up, facing forward. So you're looking to the top, toward the top of your mat. Exhale all your air. And as you inhale, straighten your leg and open up those arms in a cactus shape. Expand the chest. Exhale, bend the knee. Bring the arms back up. Inhale, expand the chest, straighten the leg. Exhale, back to the bent knee shape. Two more. And hold your warrior one. Now we're going to keep the knee bent, bring the arms into a T position, and then bring the right arm under the left arm and bend those elbows. So we're taking eagle arms. If that is not available for you, for whatever reason, you can just hug yourself here with that right arm under the left. Whatever your version of eagle arms is today is perfect. Just keep breathing. Breathe. And release. Good. Let's turn and well, you can turn and face the other direction if you're sideways like me, or just change, just step forward with your left foot. We're going to take our warrior one on this side. So with warrior one, it's usually a heel to heel alignment, but sometimes it feels nice and releases the lower back to step the front foot out to the side a little bit, so you create a wider base of support. Back leg is straight, the heel is on the floor. And if not, then just work your leg up closer so you can access the mat with all of your foot. Bring those arms up, breathe. Let all your air out. And then inhale, cactus arms, straight leg. Exhale, bend the knee, straighten the arms. A few times here with your breath. Feeling the strength of that leg supporting you as you reach up. Pause in your warrior one with arms up. Bring your arms to a T, and this time bring the left arm under the right. Crisscross those arms, bend at the elbows. And maybe you can grab hold of a thumb or bring parts of the hands together. Or take a hug. You can always take a hug, right? Breathe. And release the arms, reach the arms up. Exhale to the heart. And then you can just step your back foot forward, and we'll take a forward fold to release the back. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, dive forward. Bend those knees as much as you need to. Release the head. Okay, so we're going to come up with a flat back. I'm going to bring my chair in as an example of how we can do eagle on a chair. So just a reminder that props are not crutches. Props enhance our practice. They allow us to go deeper in our practice, and they provide safety and support. So please don't ever feel like a prop is because you're not strong enough or you're weak, or it's just, props are amazing. They are power tools. So I'm going to first show you what can be done with eagle in a chair. So if you're choosing to work in a chair, you're going to scoot to the edge. And if you're standing, you're still going to do the same leg that I'm guiding. So we're going to use our left leg as our standing leg. We're going to press the left foot into the ground. I have a block near my left foot. This is only for a chair, the chair pose. The block is to the left of my foot and just a little bit in front. So we're going to lift from our core, we're going to lift the right knee up and cross our legs, just like we did in our warm-up. So squeeze your thighs together. If you have a block there, you can tap into that block with your toes, unless you're able to somehow tuck your foot behind your calf. Otherwise, you're just going to use the block as, and you can actually do this standing too, right? So you can squeeze the legs, bend down just a bit like you're sitting in a chair. So the block is a nice technique actually for both. So find your foundation. Good. Bring those arms out. Now you can keep that in a chair or even standing and focus on the strength of your lower body. Let's take a break. We're going to do the other side and then we'll do it a second time. This time I'm going to do it from standing. So our right leg is our standing leg. Come into a little bit of a chair first. Make it easier to cross your left knee over your right. You're either going to find your block or even bring your toes to the floor or tuck your foot behind. But squeeze those thighs and pull the navel in, and arms are out. Good. We're building bone here with these poses, building up our bones. And then go ahead and take a break. Just shake it out. Do little hip circles if you need to. So the next time, I'll do it with the arms, and you can do whatever you want. So coming into a little bit of a chair pose here, pulling the navel in, and then cross the right knee over the left. Squeeze the inner thighs. Find your stability with the arms out. If you would like to, you can bring your left arm under your right arm and do your eagle pose arms at the same time. Now, this can make us lose our balance a bit, so find something to look at that's not moving, just outside of your hands, just in front of your body. Breathe. And release. And last time, this time, crossing the left leg over. I'm sweating, you guys. I'm in a chair and I'm just breaking a sweat. So if you really focus your exercise and your intention, you get a lot of benefit out of it. Arms are, we're flying eagles right now. Okay, we're flying. And then we're gonna bring our right arm under our left, and we're gonna tuck our feathers in and perch in our nest. So squeeze those legs, squeeze the arms. And release. If you're in a chair, just release with the legs uncrossed. If you're standing, just shake it out and take a mountain pose. And just think of embodying the eagle's sight, right? The eagle has this amazing sense of sight and can see things from so far away, from up above, so you see the bigger picture. So imagine that you're looking down on your life and notice what you're building. Do you like what you see? Do you see some place where you can build a shelter of peace in your life that maybe doesn't have one yet, or maybe it's a little bit weak in the foundation? these moments of non-doing and stillness and reflection are what yoga is all about. So we're going to take a wide-legged forward fold. So you can always use the chair, the seat of the chair, to put your hands on, or blocks. But we'll all take a wide stance with the toes facing forward. And again, hip hinge, right? So we're not rounding the upper back, and just come as far as you can, activating the quadricep muscles. So we want those thighs to be active so that we don't hyperextend the back of the knee. Let your head go. We're going to come up nice and slow, so heel toe those feet together. Engage your core, so important to engage your core. Bend the knees a little bit and come up with that flat back. We're going to take Prasarita, that's what we just did, Prasarita with an open, kind of expansive chest. So if you're able to clasp your hands behind you, you can do that, that's an option. Another option is to use a strap and hold on to the strap behind you with the palms facing away from you. So choose which one you're going to try. You can also hold on to opposite elbows, see if that works for you. I feel like it kind of makes my shoulders feel a little like crunched up, but every body is different. So see what's going to give you the most expansive experience across the chest. And then again, start to hinge forward, bringing those arms back, up and back behind you. Of course, if you have any shoulder issues, chronic issues, please be careful and only do what you know is safe for your body. Breathe and let it go. Good. So with your arms, you're going to bring them back down toward your hips. Release the strap if you have it. Bring your arms out in front of you and reach out a bit in front of you so the upper body looks a little bit like a downward dog. And as you reach out in front of you, start to shift your weight back just a tiny bit. Get into the underarms. Let out a big sigh. One more big breath in and a big sigh. Good. Let's bring those hands back under the body directly and start to come up safely and slowly. Good. Inhale, reach up. Exhale your hands to your heart. We're going to move to the floor now, to on our back for a figure 4 stretch and some cool down postures. So the knees are bent, the hips are flat on the floor, and then cross the right ankle over the left knee and see if that's enough for you. You can always do this in a chair if you prefer. And if you want to bring the left leg off the floor and hold on to the back of your thigh, you can do that. Okay, we're gonna unwind this figure 4 stretch and bring the feet back to the floor. Lift your hips and shift them over to the right and then place them back down. So just a few inches, and then let the knees fall to the left. So we can bring a block between the knees if that helps the twist feel less intense. And then open up the arms or even bring them overhead. What would feel good for you today? Do you want to keep your hands on your body? Rest in the twist on this side. Maybe gazing over the right arm. And then pull the navel in and just lift the top knee. And bring the foot back to the floor and come back to center. And then straighten out, center those hips and place them back down on the floor. And then we'll take our figure 4 stretch on the other side. Left ankle goes over right knee or thigh. Stay with the awareness of your breath as it moves in and out of your body. Can you follow the thread of your breath with your awareness? Release your figure 4. Bring both feet to the floor. Lift your hips and shift them to the left a few inches and let those knees drop over to the right with or without a block. And placing the arms where it feels most helpful for you today. Lifting the top knee, followed by that bottom knee. Bring those hips back to center. Just rock a little bit from side to side. Feel the sacrum and the hips getting a little massage on the mat. If you would like to bring those knees up toward your chest for a happy baby or something like a happy baby. Take a few breaths here. I'll invite you to take an inversion here. You can slide the block under your hips, under your sacrum, either staying in supported bridge pose or lifting one leg at a time up to the sky. Resting with the palms facing up. If that feels good for your body. Let the belly soften. So as you breathe in, the belly can expand and rise upward. And as you breathe out, it naturally just sinks back in. Start to bend your knees and bring them in towards your chest. And then one foot at a time, slowly comes down to the mat. Slide the block out from underneath you. Check in with your body to see if it needs anything else. Are there any stretches that you need today that you want to repeat, or something different and new that you want to do or try? Check in with your body. Give yourself a couple of minutes to move any way that you need to. And If you're ready for Shavasana, then set yourself up for a nice restful session, giving the body whatever support it needs. So maybe something under the knees or the head, maybe using the seat of the chair as a place to place your lower legs. So just take this time as your time to either enter Shavasana now or take the time for some extra movement. And I'll ring the bell when it's time officially for us all to take advantage of the opportunity for Shavasana. Let the sound of the bell invite you to a place of stillness with your body and with your mind. Maybe your mind can get a little more quiet. Scanning the body with your awareness and noticing any place that might still be holding on to effort. Inviting that area to release some of that effort. And to soften into rest. Come, let us build this place, this tabernacle where we praise with all of our hearts God's pardon and promise. Let us build this place where we delight with thanksgiving and wonder in God's bounty and gifts. Can you feel the bounty of the gifts in your body, of your senses, of all that your body does for you? Can you delight with thanksgiving and wonder in the beating of your heart? Come, let us build this place, this Sukkot Shalom, this shelter of peace, where beauty dances and love sings, where peace cries out, build, build, you children of Israel, a tent of holiness, strong and true. Build it in your heart, in your home, in your life, in God's world. Take a deep cleansing breath and let it out. And begin to rise up to a seated position. Let your hands rest at your heart. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free. May all beings be loved. May all beings have peace. May we all be filled with peace. May we share our shelter of peace with the world. May it be so. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shalom.